I got into a brutal fight with my husband Zhou Min's ex-girlfriend, and we both ended up injured. Yet Zhou Min took his ex-girlfriend's side and blamed me. After being discharged from the hospital, I wanted a divorce and to run away from home. My son, dragging a small suitcase, held my hand. Dad, I've sentenced myself to Mom. Then he shoved the small suitcase into Zhou Min's hands. Dad, just leave with nothing. Later, Zhou Min called, trying to win her back, but his son answered the phone with his smartwatch. Uncle, please don't call me anymore. I'm afraid Mom will misunderstand. Zhou Min was so furious he was practically impotent with rage. Jiang Yiqing, I know you want to keep the child and ditch the father, but the child you're keeping is the son I had with my ex-girlfriend. My arm was scratched open by Han Ruo, and she also bit the back of my hand. I was standing in line at the hospital, waiting to have it bandaged. My son, Zhou Xingye, carefully blew on my wound. As he blew on it, he coaxed me in a soft, babyish voice, just like he was comforting a child. Be good, Mom. If I blow on it, it won't hurt anymore. Every time she got hurt before, I used to blow on it and comfort her like this. I already called Dad with my watch phone. He said he'd be here in a little while. Then she looked at the bite mark on the back of my hand with worry. Mom, do I need to get a rabies shot for this? At last, Han Ruo could no longer hold back. Clenching her teeth, she said, I'm your mother. Xiaoya sized her up from head to toe with those round, bright eyes, then turned back to ask me, Mom, should we call the police and have them arrest this child-snatching kidnapper? Xiaoya was indeed born to Han Ruo. Han Ruo was Zhou Min's ex-girlfriend from his university days. They had dated for 3 years and, without telling their families, got pregnant before marriage. After giving birth to Xiaoya, Zhou Min had originally planned to register their marriage with Han Ruo as soon as possible, but just then, his family's business had fallen on hard times and was nearly bankrupt. After hearing about it, Han Ruo took advantage of the fact that his family hadn't gone bankrupt yet, extorted a sum of money for nutrition expenses, and fled overseas overnight with some rich old man. She hadn't even finished her confinement period, leaving Xiaoya and Zhou Min, the father and son, staring at each other in bewilderment. When Xiaoya was 3, a friend introduced Zhou Min and me on a blind date. We got along fairly well, and on top of that, Xiaoya really was adorable. 6 months later, we registered our marriage. After we got married, I treated Xiaoyi as if he were my own child, and our family could be considered happy and complete. Then Han Ruo came back from abroad. It was said that the wealthy old man had passed away, and she had wanted to go and claim a share of the inheritance, only to be thrown out by his legitimate wife and children. So she turned back and came looking for Zhou Min again. I don't feel all that sorry for her going after Zhou Min, but she actually came to steal my son. My son and I were happily skipping down the street hand in hand when that crazy woman suddenly rushed out and hugged my son. She was even muttering, I'm your real mother. That evil woman has been lying to you all along. 5 years without a word. Never caring about her son. Never asking after him. The moment I got back, she snatched my son right in front of me and even tried to drive a wedge between us. Am I supposed to just put up with that? I went straight up and fought her. That was when she scratched up my arm. I could have avoided getting hurt, but that woman didn't care about little Yi at all when she started tearing into me. I was afraid Xiaoya would get hurt by her, so I used my arm to block her several times. Later, when my son hid in my arms, she couldn't snatch him away, and even bit the back of my hand. By the time Zhou Min rushed over, Han Ruo and I had already been bandaged up. What happened? How did it end up in a fight? Han Ruo, standing nearby, spoke up first. It's not my sister-in-law's fault. I was just anxious to see the child. It's only natural that my sister-in-law would be upset. I can understand. As she spoke, tears welled in her eyes, as though she had suffered some enormous grievance. Zhou Min's gaze fell on the cast on her arm. Frowning, He looked at me. Why did you strike so hard? In truth, Han Rua's injuries were nowhere near worse than mine. But she insisted on paying extra to have a cast put on. I gave him a cold look. Why don't you ask why this outsider would lay a hand on your wife and child? Did I drag the kid over there and hit her for no reason? Zhou Min hesitated for a moment. He lowered his voice, but still spoke loud enough for the few of us to hear. After all, she's Xiaoya's mother. What? She only became Xiaoya's mother today. What about the past 5 years she wasn't his mother then? Xiaoya, however, tightened his grip on my hand and lifted his little chin stubbornly. Daddy, you've mistaken me for someone else. This is my mom. I don't know that, auntie. Han Rua came closer, wanting to take Xiaoya's hand, but Xiaoya took a disgusted step back and avoided her. Her face wore a wounded expression. Her eyes rimmed red. Xiaoya, Mom has her own unavoidable reasons. How can you treat Mom like this? The 5-year-old child's eyes were full of resolve. You're not my mom. He poked at his phone watch and played a recorded phone call. In the recording, his voice was childish and humble. Mom, today is my 3rd birthday. Could you tell me happy birthday? Han Rua on the other end of the phone, however, was full of impatience. How many times have I told you? I'm not your mother. Stop bothering me. Beep beep beep. Since the day he was born, Ono had never seen his mother. He found Han Rua's phone number in his father's phone. He didn't understand why his mother would treat him like this, but he only wanted to hear her say happy birthday to him on his birthday. Han Rua's phone wasn't always reachable, so he thought he would record it so that whenever he missed his mother in the future, he could listen to it. But instead, he recorded something like this. How heartbreaking it must have been for such a little child to hear those words spoken by his mother herself. I couldn't help but hold the little one in my arms even tighter. After listening to the recording, Han Rua's expression turned somewhat unpleasant. Mom owed you too much in the past, but from now on, I'll make it up to you little by little. No need. Xiaoya shrank a little closer into my arms. I already have a wonderful mom. Han Rua covered her face with a look of being deeply wounded and ran off. Zhou Min immediately chased after her without hesitation. Not long after I chased after them, Zhou Min sent me a message. After all, Ruoruo gave me a child. Now she's injured. And she's been hurt by the child too. I can't just ignore her. I'll take her home and then come back. A little while later, I also received a message from Han Rua. What kind of love potion did you feed that little ungrateful wretch? But even if you keep the little one, what good will it do? As long as I beckon, your husband will still come wagging his tail over to me. Stupid asshole. Bitchy green tea slut. My little wild one is still the cutest. While coaxing Xiaoyi to sleep, he kept holding my hand tightly, refusing to let go. In my heart, you're the one who is my mom. Even right up until bedtime, he was still muttering to me, Mom, can't we really call the police and have them arrest her as a human trafficker? Near midnight, Zhou Min finally came home, carrying a scent of perfume that wasn't mine. You came back and immediately started blaming me. Xiaoya is still so young. How could you teach him to say those things? After all, Xiaoya was born from Ruoruo carrying him for 10 months. How heartbroken must she be to hear such things? I couldn't help pinching the bridge of my nose. In the end, was it me who taught Xiaoya to say things that would hurt Han Rua? Or was it Han Rua who bewitched you into saying things that would hurt me? Zhou Min stood frozen in place. I threw a pillow at him and told him to get out and cool off for the night. Who knew what kind of bewitching potion Han Rua had poured into him at nearly 30? The man's ability to judge right from wrong was worse than that of a 5-year-old child. When I woke up in the morning, neither Zhou Min nor Xiaoyi was at home, but then I came across a post in Han Rua's Moments. A family of 3 should have breakfast together, no matter how busy they are. The photo was a selfie of her taken in front of the dining table. Although the father and son behind her didn't show their faces, it was obvious at a glance that they were Zhou Min and Xiaoyi. Half an hour later, The father and son came home. Zhou Min's expression was dark. On the other hand, Ono was practically jumping for joy. Mom, I brought you breakfast. Hearing Ono call me mom, I let out a sigh of relief. I admit, I'd lost my confidence. Xiaoya and I shared a mother-son bond as deep as the sea. But Han Ruo, after all, blood was thicker than water. Especially when I saw the photo of the three of them having breakfast together. It was the first time I had such a clear and definite feeling that I was an outsider. But Xiaoya's cheerful, delighted cry of mommy made every trace of my insecurity vanish in an instant. Xiaoya was my son. He set the breakfast he had brought back on the table and urged, Mom, go wash your hands and come eat breakfast. By the time I finished washing my hands and came out, he had already arranged all the breakfast he brought back. Zhou Min sat down across from me with a stiff face. Usually I'm busy with work. So I always thought you were taking good care of Xiaoya. I never expected you'd lead the child astray as he usually even skip breakfast. Xiaoya pushed a pork cutlet egg burger over to me. Mom, eat this. Then, while shoving eggs into his mouth, he argued back at Zhou Min. Dad, let me say this again. It's not that I don't like eating breakfast. I just don't like eating breakfast with that woman. I reached out and wiped the bits of egg yolk from the corner of Xiaoya's mouth, chiming in. Exactly. Look how happily our Xiaoyi is eating. Turns out Xiaoyi really does listen to his sister-in-law more. Turning around, I saw Han Ruo standing beside the sofa, looking at us with a cold, ambiguous expression. That one sentence made Zhou Min's face, which had just begun to ease up a little, darken again. Anyone with even a shred of common sense could tell that she was trying to make others believe that the distance Xiaoya kept from her had all been stirred up by me behind the scenes. But as for why Xiaoya wasn't close to her, and even resented her, others might not know the reason. Zhou Min, however, knew it better than anyone, and yet he was exactly the one with the least sense of all. Whatever Han Ruo said, he believed. Right now he was like a stupid dog, with the leash in Han Ruo's hands. Wherever Han Ruo led him, he followed. In front of Xiaoyi, he said directly, however close you may be with Xiaoyi, you're still only his stepmother. Ruoruo is his real mother. No matter what, you can't be sowing discord between them as mother and son. I slammed the hamburger in my hand onto the table, about to fire back. But then I heard Xiaoyi speak slowly. Dad, why don't we go take a paternity test? Zhou Min froze for a moment. What do you mean? Your Ruoruo mom is not that kind of person. I believe her. Then, with a look of fury, he slapped the table at me. Jiang Yiqing, how could you slander Ruoruo like this behind the child's back? No, Dad. Xiaoya held him down and explained. I just feel like with your IQ this low, you don't seem like my real dad. Zhou Min's face was mottled with bruises, blue and pale, and his lips moved a few times. But no words came out. As father and son started to go at each other, Han Ruo quickly slipped herself into the role of the mother. Xiaoya, how can you talk to your father like that? Xiaoya shot her a sidelong glance. You're not much smarter than he is. Then he slung on his little backpack himself and even took my bag with him. Mom, we should go to kindergarten. After getting off work in the afternoon, I picked up Xiaoyi and brought him home. All the way, Xiaoyi chattered away about the amusing things that happened in kindergarten. I couldn't help but feel envious. Going to school really is easier than going to work. By the time I got off work, I was as exhausted as a dead dog, while the little kid came home from school as pumped as if they'd been shot full of adrenaline. As soon as I stepped through the door, I was greeted by the mouth-watering aroma of food. Xiaoya's back. Han Ruo poked her head out from the kitchen. Then she and Zhou Min came out of the kitchen one after the other. Both of them were wearing the same style of apron. That was my apron. There was also a smaller apron of the same style, which belonged to Xiaoya. It was part of the parent-child kitchen set we had bought before, used when we made dumplings together. Xiaoya puffed out his cheeks and asked indignantly, "Why are you wearing my mom's apron?" Han Ruo put on a pitiful, wronged expression. I just wanted to cook a meal for my own son myself. Sister-in-law won't be angry, will she? Jo Min took the plate from her hands and set it on the table, answering for me in a cool tone. Don't worry. I Ching isn't so unreasonable. Sorry. But I really am. I glanced at the dishes on the table, aside from the smashed cucumbers just brought out. The others were clearly all takeout. It takes two people putting on aprons and bustling around in the kitchen just to photograph a cucumber. This cucumber must be worth a lot. I don't remember inviting you. This cooking lady. Please leave. Han Rua hid behind Jo Min like a frightened kitten, tugging on the corner of his shirt as she coquettishly said, "I mean, since sister-in-law isn't welcoming me so much, maybe I should just go." Though she said she was leaving with her mouth, her body showed not the slightest sign of movement. Jo Min shielded her behind him. You don't need to leave. Then he looked at me with a dark expression. I Ching, why are you so hostile toward Rua Rua? After all, she's Xiao Ye's biological mother. She just wants to cook a meal for the child herself. Then why don't you ask Xiao Yi whether he wants to eat the spread of dishes? Xiao Yi answered crisply and decisively. No. Han Rua put on a hurt expression. In front of your sister-in-law. Xiao Ye still really doesn't want to be close to me. With just one sentence, she shoved the blame onto me again, as if I were the one stopping Xiao Ye from eating. Jo Min wore the very same expression. Xiao Ye, your Rororo mom spent all afternoon working hard to make you such a big table full of dishes. How can you bear to break her heart like this? Xiao Ye pointed at the takeaway box in the trash can beside him. Dad, I already said before that I don't like the food at the Sichuan restaurant. It's too spicy and too greasy. In the middle of the night, Jo Min crept quietly into the bedroom, only to be kicked right back out by me. He clutched his backside, grimacing in pain. Was that really necessary? You're still mad over something this small. While I was away, you brought your ex-girlfriend home, defended her in front of the child several times, and provoked me. Are all of that just trivial matters in your eyes? With an unconcerned expression, he said, Come on, don't make a big deal out of it. Han Rua and I are just ordinary friends now. And besides, we only cooked a meal together. It's not some huge deal. Was it really necessary to make such a fuss? Besides, she's Xiao Ye's biological mother. Then think carefully outside whether this is a big deal or not before you come into the bedroom. Then she closed the bedroom door and got into bed to sleep. In truth, I never had deep feelings for Jo Min to begin with. When I married him, it was just to become a mother without going through labor. The relationship between him and me as husband and wife was more like a family bond formed through Xiao Yi. The first time he stood up for Han Rua in front of me, I had already thought about divorce, but I still couldn't bear to leave Xiao Yi. After all, his biological parents were both here, and I was afraid I wouldn't win custody. But I also couldn't keep swallowing this kind of humiliation again and again, especially the next day. When I saw Han Rua and Jo Min appear at my home together once more, there was a pile of fried chicken, burgers, and fries on the table. And they were so eager they were practically trying to stuff them into Xiao Ye's mouth. Yesterday mommy was wrong. I didn't understand your taste. You should like fried chicken and hamburgers, right? Other kids like them too. You're not my mommy. Xiao Yi remained unmoved. My mommy said that we kids are still growing, so we can't eat too much fried food. When he saw me, Xiao Yi ran over and wrapped himself around my leg to towel. Mommy, that kidnapper came to our house again. Sister-in-law, how could you say that about me in front of little Yi? Han Rua looked as if she were about to burst into tears. While comforting her, Jo Min also criticized me. I Ching, I can let it slide when you usually go after Rua Rua. But why do you have to slander her like this in front of little Yi? He's still just a child, whatever you say. He'll believe. Even his own mother can't bear to hear it now. I had already been irritated from not sleeping well all night, and then I got up to witness such a scene. My anger flared up at once. Since you're so protective of her, I don't think she's little Ye's biological mother. She must be your mother instead. You two can go on living your life together. Let's get divorced. After saying that, I turned around and went back to the bedroom to pack my things, then picked up my suitcase and was about to leave. Mom, wait for me. Little Yi came trotting over, dragging a small suitcase behind him, and took my hand. I want to be with Mom. Only when he saw that the two of us, mother and daughter, were both dragging suitcases did Zhou Min put down his fried chicken and come over to ask us, "Where are you two going?" Xiaoya lifted her little chin. "Dad. I've sentenced myself to Mom." Then she shoved the little suitcase into Zhou Min's hands. "Dad, you should leave the marriage with nothing." After instinctively taking the small suitcase, Zhou Min stood frozen on the spot for a long while. "Wait, are you kicking me out?" "Yes. Dad, I've already packed your luggage for you." After taking a phone call, Zhou Min's face turned dark. "You even went crying to your grandparents. Had your grandpa bring me back home?" "Yes. Dad, go back to your mother's home and reflect properly." Zhou Min looked up at me, then looked down at Xiao Yi, and, fuming, dragged his little suitcase back to his wife's family home. Xiaoya poked his head out and asked Han Ruo, who was frozen stiff in the living room, "Kidnapper lady, my dad's already gone. Why are you still here? Ungrateful little brat." Before leaving, Han Ruo shot me a fierce glare. "You just wait." A WeChat message popped up. "Do you need legal assistance? Supports divorce consultation, property division, child custody disputes, and related services." The person who sent the message was Tang Jingyi, Zhou Min's friend and a lawyer. I wasn't really familiar with him, just a few brief meetings, and we'd barely exchanged a few words. Could it be that Zhou Min had told him we were getting a divorce? I shot back, "How do you know I happen to need it?" Then Tang Jingyi sent me a few screenshots of chat records. They were between him and Xiaoya. Xiaoya voiced a to text. "Uncle Tang, there's a woman on the street trying to carry me away. Can you call the police and have her arrested as a human trafficker and sent to prison?" Tang Jingyi: "It depends. Do you know that woman? Were your parents by your side at the time? What did she say to you? Did she try to sweet talk or trick you?" Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, there are some characters in the message you sent that I don't recognize. Could you send it as voice?" Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, my dad and another woman teamed up to bully my mom. Can we call the police and have them arrested and put in jail?" Tang Jingyi speech to text. "No." Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, if it's just those 2 words, you don't have to send a voice message. I know those 2 words." Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, if my mom and dad get divorced, can the court give me and my grandparents to my mom too?" Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, when mom and dad get divorced, can I leave dad only 5 yuan?" Xiaoya speech to text. "Then can I not give dad even a single pair of underwear, and let him walk away barest?" Tang Jingyi speech to text. "In the absence of any special agreement regarding the personal property of both spouses, it generally will not be divided and still belongs solely to that party." Xiaoya speech to text. "Uncle Tang, I don't understand." Tang Jingyi speech to text. "What I mean is, even after the divorce, your dad's underpants are still your dad's, and your mom probably wouldn't want your dad's underpants." Xiaoya speech to text. "Oh." Tang Jingyi speech to text. "Why can you send a voice message with just 1 character? Why don't you type?" Xiaoyi speech to text. "Because I haven't learned Pinyin well yet. When the teacher was explaining it, I wasn't paying attention." Tang Jingyi: "Pay attention in class from now on." It was clear that Xiaoya had already laid out a very thorough game plan for our divorce. The little suitcase he handed to Zhou Min was filled with Zhou Min's underwear. I made an appointment to meet Tang Jingyi in person, and took Xiaoya with me. During the meeting, as Tang Jingyi fluently recited those statutes and regulations, Xiaoya kept looking at him with admiring eyes. He said he would first help me draft a divorce agreement, and he would also help me find a way to fight for custody of Xiaoyi. If you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask me anytime. Then he patted Xiaoyi on the head and said softly, "You too, Uncle Tang. I do indeed have a question I want to ask you. What's the problem?" Xiaoyi kept a straight little face, looking troubled. After a long while, he finally asked, "Uncle Tang, is it possible that you were the wrong child? Switched at birth? Tang Jingyi, HM. I was baffled too." Xiaoyi bit his lip and explained, "You're so smart. And my dad is so dumb. I think I'm more like your son." Tang Jingyi couldn't help but smile as he patted his head, then looked up at me. A peculiar glint flashed beneath the gold-rimmed glasses. "It's not impossible." A hot video suddenly appeared online, posted by Han Ruo. The first few clips in the video were all of Xiaoyi saying with a cold face, "You're not my mother," along with footage of me sniping back at her and Zhou Min accusing me of secretly sowing discord between them. At the end, there was a video of Han Ruo, reedy and tearful, lamenting that her biological son not only refused to acknowledge her, but even spoke to her harshly. The most dramatic part was the last section. Han Ruo appeared to be crying herself to the point of heartbreak, yet not a single tear had smeared her exquisite makeup. And in her sob story, she had conjured out of thin air all sorts of maternal love that never existed. The comments visible in the comment section were all being led along by Han Ruo. "Having a child like this is worse than giving birth to a piece of roasted pork. Why doesn't such a disgusting brat just go die already? They should have thrown him away when he was born and raised the placenta instead. No wonder women nowadays don't want to have children. They're afraid of giving birth to something like this." This video absolutely could not be let Xiaoyi see. Han Ruo had already heard him enough, but when I got to Xiaoye's room, I found him hugging his iPad and watching this video. His eyes were red, and he looked as if he had already cried. Seeing me come in, he turned off the iPad and set it aside. Forcing a weak smile, I pulled him into my arms and comforted him. "She's just spouting nonsense. Don't take it to heart. You're the best child in this world, and she doesn't deserve to be your mother." Xiaoye curled up in my arms, his emotions settling down much more. "Because I met the best mother in the world, I was able to become the best child. Mom, you don't need to worry about this. I'll handle it myself. I'm not a little kid of 3 or 4 anymore, even at a time like this." He was still trying to make me laugh. Before long, he had fallen asleep in my arms, perhaps because he had cried for too long. Even while sleeping in my arms, he startled and trembled several times. I lowered my head to look at the tiny child in my arms, afraid that even the slightest movement might startle him. I still couldn't understand how Han Ruo could bear to slander him and let him endure such vicious abuse and curses from so many people. She was his own mother, clearly. Xiaoyi had done nothing wrong. He was just a pitiful little child abandoned by his own mother from the moment he was born. Early the next morning, Tang Jingyi came to my house. "I'm here to see Xiaoye." The moment he heard Tang Jingyi's voice, Xiaoye came dashing out of the bedroom and tucked him back inside. The two of them stayed behind the closed bedroom door, busying themselves all morning. No matter how I asked, they refused to say what they were doing, only telling me that I'd know soon enough. In the afternoon, I came across Ono's clarification video online. He merely clarified that he had been abandoned by Han Ruo since birth and had never received any motherly love from her. He did not utter a single word about those unspeakable things she had done. Besides, Ono was, after all, just a child, and he didn't have much evidence in his hands. The only evidence was the phone recording from her 3rd birthday. Many people online, already set in their prejudices, refused to buy it, and most even thought I had instructed Xiaoye to say those things online. At the same time, another video began circulating online. The video contained plenty of evidence from years ago that Han Ruo had been the old man's mistress, including chat logs, intimate photos, transfer records, recordings of Han Ruo taunting the old man's lawful wife, and a video of Han Ruo going to his house after the old man's death. demanding a share of the inheritance only to be beaten out the door by the lawful wife and her family. Only then did the rumors online begin to shift direction. Only then did the two of them come out of the bedroom, beaming with joy. I couldn't help but ask Tang Jingi, "That other video was that you're doing too?" He didn't seem very willing to bring it up, but he still nodded. "Yes. How did you end up with these things? Did you handle this lawsuit yourself back then?" Tang Jingi was silent for a moment, then said softly, "That old man is my father. Huge scandal. This should have stayed in the family, not aired in public. But my mom couldn't bear to see Xiaoyi suffer such unwarranted grievance. So she asked me to post this and help clear things up." Madame Tang's exact words were, "That vile woman is truly vicious. Setting her sights on someone else's husband is one thing, but she even slandered her own biological son. How could I possibly let her get away with this?" Tang Jingi tried to persuade her that if she released all those things, then even that dead father of his would have his posthumous reputation ruined. Tang's mother's exact words were, "When that old bastard was alive, he had the nerve to do something so shameless. Now that he's dead, does he still get to care about face? I wish I could dig up his corpse, strip him naked, and hang him on the Eiffel Tower to roast in the sun for 100 years. From Tang Jingi, I also learned that the old man had been keeping it very well hidden at first, and his family didn't know Han Ruo even existed. But after the old man died, Han Ruo got greedy and insisted on getting a share of the inheritance. So she went to their house and made a scene with Tang's mother. Only then did the Tang family find out there had been such a mistress all along. After that, Tang's mother took her to court and got back the houses, cars, and money the old man had given her before. With Tang Jingi, that top-tier lawyer, around, Han Ruo naturally wasn't going to come out on top. Not only did she fail to get any of the inheritance, she even lost what she already had and wound up deeply in debt. She probably came back to find the current Zhou Min stupid and rich in order to solve that massive debt problem. After settling this matter, Xiaoye locked herself in her bedroom for a long while. I didn't disturb him. At such a young age, he had to go through something like this. He would surely need time to process it. He would also need some time to truly say goodbye to his birth mother. It wasn't until the afternoon that he bounced out of the bedroom, looking as though he had turned back into that carefree little kid again. I said we should invite Tang Jingi to a big meal to properly thank him for this, but Xiaoye insisted on making dumplings together at home. Tang Jingi smiled and said he agreed. So I didn't object either. He mixed the filling, and I rolled out the wrappers. Xiaoyi was still pretty busy. After a while, he darted over to ask Tang Jingi, "Uncle Tang, why haven't you gotten married yet? Uncle Tang, do you have a girlfriend? Uncle Tang, what kind of girls do you like?" A moment later, she darted over and asked me again, "Mom, what exactly did you fall for about Dad? Mom, when are you going to divorce Dad? Mom, is it possible that you secretly gave birth to a child in the hospital and forgot to take them home? And Dad picked the child up. So actually you're my biological mother, and Dad is the stepfather." When we finally sat down together to wrap dumplings, Xiaoyi insisted that we sit a little closer together. A child's mind was simple, and it left both Tang Jingi and me feeling a little awkward. Though neither of us could bring ourselves to say it outright, Xiaoye kept urging us to talk more. I could see that Tang Jingi's ears were turning red. The atmosphere was far too awkward. So I had no choice but to find something to say and break the silence. "You've helped us so much. We should at least treat you to a grand meal. But Ono wants dumplings. And we've even dragged you into cooking with you. It's rather embarrassing." He only shrugged and replied, "I think this is great. It feels warm and cozy, and I really like it. A fancy meal outside can be eaten anytime, but this kind of warmth is hard to come by." To make dumplings, he took off his suit jacket, rolled up his shirt sleeves, and tied on an apron. His hands were covered in flour, and there was some smeared on his cuffs as well. His refined, scholarly air, paired with that bespoke suit, looked completely out of place in the kitchen no matter how you saw it, but that contrast had its own peculiar charm. At that moment, Zhou Min stormed home. Divorce agreement in hand. Jiang Yiqing, you're really going to divorce me over something this trivial? And then he saw the three of us sitting together in harmony, happily making dumplings. Tang Jingyi, why are you in my house? And you're making dumplings with my wife and son. And you're wearing my apron. His voice rose higher and higher with every line, until it was almost like a skyrocket shooting into the air. Xiaoye pinched his nose and, imitating Han Ruo's tone from before, said, Uncle Tang just wanted to make dumplings for us by hand. Daddy won't be mad. Right. I also repeated what Zhou Min had said back then. Don't worry, your dad isn't that unreasonable. Zhou Min froze for a moment, then looked as if he had finally understood everything. No wonder you found an excuse to divorce me over something this trivial. You and he had already been at it for a long time, hadn't you? Tang Jingyi couldn't bear to listen any longer. Zhou Min, how can you say something like that in front of Xiaoye? As he spoke, he stood up, intending to untie his apron and leave. Why don't I leave first? But he was stopped by Ono, who held him back. Uncle Tang, you don't have to leave. Then I turned to Zhou Min and said, Dad, why are you so hostile toward Uncle Tang? He's your friend. After all, he just wanted to make dumplings for us by hand. Zhou Min was so angry he nearly jumped out of his skin. What do you mean, just? He's in my kitchen, wearing my apron, making dumplings with my wife. How is that just? His shouting was giving me a headache, and he was practically ruining the dumplings with his nonsense. Tang Jingyi and I are just ordinary friends. And besides, we were only making dumplings together. It's not some huge deal. Was there really any need for you to make such a mountain out of a molehill? Besides, he's your friend too. Hearing those familiar words, Zhou Min was completely silenced. His face flushed red with anger. Yet he couldn't say a word. Xiaoye suddenly spoke. Dad, did you see the video online? Zhou Min froze, instantly losing all confidence. He muttered, I told Ruoruo to delete it, but she wouldn't listen. At those words, Xiaoye's expression instantly darkened. I knew that he would rather Zhou Min not see the video than let his own father watch him suffer such injustice and do nothing at all. When I went to the kindergarten to pick up Xiaoye after school, the teacher said he had already been taken away by his biological mother. My heart sank, and then I received a call from Han Ruo. If you want to see that ungrateful little wretch, come to the rooftop. I hurried to the rooftop and notified Zhou Min and Tang Jingyi along the way. The other two arrived at the rooftop almost at the same time as I did. Han Ruo looked somewhat deranged, not even wearing makeup. The wind on the rooftop whipped her hair into a tangled mess, making her look like a demon crawled up from hell. She stood at the edge of the rooftop, pressing a fruit knife against Xiaoye's neck. It was only when he saw me that Xiaoye finally burst into tears. Mom, I'm so scared. The most shocked of all was Zhou Min. Ruo. What do you think you're doing? Xiaoye is your own son. Han Ruo spat viciously. I don't give a damn about sons or whatever. Cut the nonsense 50 million. Or I'll make this little ungrateful brat bury me in death. As she spoke, she shuffled another step toward the edge of the rooftop. 50 million. We and Zhou Min can't come up with that kind of money right now. Afraid Han Ruo might hurt Xiaoye, I moved closer while soothing her. Money can be negotiated. Just step a little farther in. Don't hurt Xiaoye. Yet Han Ruo remained completely unmoved, even shifting a little farther out. Don't give me useless talk. Pay up. Behind her, Zhou Min's hysterical breakdown rang out. Is money all you care about? 5 years ago, you abandoned me and the child and left. Now you've come back out of nowhere. I assumed you had your reasons. The moment you returned, I tried every way to make the child grow close to you, hoping the three of us could become a family again. I thought your coming back meant you still had feelings for me, but it turns out you only came for the money. Nonsense. Han Ruo sneered. I've been with you from the very beginning just for the money. If I hadn't heard you'd gotten rich again, I wouldn't have bothered coming back to deal with you." Although Zhou Min was foolish, this back and forth had indeed distracted Han Ruo's attention. I seized the chance while she was distracted and lunged forward to snatch Xiaoya back. Tang Jingyi also took the opportunity to pull her back. It was just that when we got Xiaoya back, Han Ruo, in a panic, slashed my arm with the fruit knife. Tang Jingyi and I were both busy, one rescuing the child, the other trying to wrest the knife away, while Zhou Min could only throw himself to the ground in grief, crying bitterly and mourning his lost love. The wound on my arm wasn't serious, but it was likely to leave a scar. Xiaoya was badly frightened, and for a long time to come, she'd need to see a psychiatrist regularly. Han Ruo was suspected of kidnapping and attempted murder, and would have to spend several years behind bars. I went to visit her. She had grown much more haggard, yet she was still vicious. "Even if you raised him, he would still be my son." I shook my head and said, "He won't have a mother like you. It would affect his chances of passing the civil service exam." With the support of little Ye's grandparents, Zhou Min and I divorced smoothly. Xiaoya's guardians are his grandparents, but he still lives with me, afraid the company would be ruined in Zhou Min's hands. Xiaoya's grandfather put his retirement on hold, went back to work, and waited for Xiaoya to grow up. Zhou Min left the marriage with nothing, and these days he's delivering takeout. He's come looking for me many times, but I've never given him the time of day. He called Xiaoyi again. Xiaoyi nestled in my arms, watching cartoons while answering the call with his phone watch. "Uncle, please don't call me anymore. I'm afraid Mom will misunderstand."